This is Single Status.
Hello, Single Status fam. Welcome back to the podcast. This is your host, Samantha, and today we are going to talk about clear ways that God speaks to you when you are on the dating scene. And hey, I know from experience, I know from things that I have done wrong in the past and things that I have done right, and just experience being on the dating scene that, listen, it is hard to hear from God when you are dating because it is an emotional roller coaster out here. So I felt like this is a really important topic to talk about. But before we jump into it, I just want to remind you to make sure to follow me on Instagram and TikTok if you have not already at Samantha Venue. My links are below. And if you listen on Apple and Spotify, I would so much appreciate it if you could leave a 5-star rating and write a review on the show. That is how the algorithm grows to more people. That is how we expand. And don't forget that we are also on YouTube. You can watch all the episodes on YouTube at Single Status Podcast. And if you have someone that you know this show would encourage, send that to your friend. Send this to your single friends, anyone on the dating scene. I know that this would encourage them. So thank you all for your support. So today we are going to talk about how to hear from God when you are dating. Because listen, I'm at the point in my life where I just want to be led by God. I want to be in God's will. I want to be walking in lockstep with Him. And listen, when we are falling for someone, when we are crushing on someone, when we are falling in love with someone especially, it is hard out here. And it is hard to hear from God when all of these emotions are going on in our heart and our mind. Listen, love sickness is real. Because listen, there's times where we could be crushing on someone, but they're not crushing on us back, and that's an emotional roller coaster. And then there's times where we are maybe crushing on someone and they're crushing on us back, and then you're falling in love, and that's a whole emotional whirlwind that we're going through. So listen, dating in general is just an emotional roller coaster is what I realized. And when our emotions are heightened and when we're dealing with the chemical reaction going on in our bodies, our mind, our soul, when we are crushing on someone, it is challenging to hear from God or to trust what we are hearing from God when we're in those situations. And like I said, from learning from experience and, you know, some mistakes in my past, I really learned some clear ways and clear ways that I hear from God when I am dating, or clear things I look for, I guess, when I'm dating to hear from God and get signs from God on whether I should move forward with dating someone or not date someone or whatever it may be. And I found this article on harvard.edu, and it kind of just tells us about what is happening in our body when we are crushing on someone and we do find ourselves attracted to someone. Because I think that is having the awareness of the science behind what is actually going on in our body when we're dating. I think that's really important because it kind of helps us get out of our mind and kind of look at ourselves in a practical way and say, okay, girl, like, let's calm down. This is what's happening in your body. This is what's happening in your heart. And although it's fun, like, it's fun when we're dating and when we're falling for someone, but it's good to like pull ourselves out of it and be able to say, okay, let me ground myself here. So anyway, so here's the article from Harvard EDU. And I thought this was really interesting. It says the same regions that light up when we're feeling attraction light up when drug addicts take cocaine and when we binge eat sweets. For example, cocaine maintains dopamine signaling for much longer than usual, leading to a temporary high. In a way, attraction is much like an addiction to another human being. Similarly, the same brain regions light up when we become addicted to material goods as when we become emotionally dependent on our partners. And addicts going into withdrawal are not unlike love-struck people craving the company of someone they cannot see. So again, I just want us to first understand the science behind like what is going on in our bodies, in our mind, in our soul when we start feeling attracted to someone, because it can literally be like an addict that is, craving a drug, or when we are maybe addicted to sugar, like it's talking about food cravings or whatever it is, like that rush that's going on in our body, it can make us do things that we wouldn't typically do. It can make us overlook things that we wouldn't typically overlook. It could make us act in ways that are out of character because there's a chemical reaction going on inside of us, and it's almost like we are acting like we're like addicted to this person that we're interested in or attracted to. And like I said, I think it's just good for us to kind of acknowledge that and be aware of it, so we know when it's happening that we can do things to kind of take us out of that. Okay, so yeah, today I want to talk about the 3 ways that we can clearly hear from God and be confident in what God is saying to us when we are experiencing the emotional roller coaster of dating, or when we find ourselves falling for someone. Because right, we want to be led by God. We want to welcome him into our dating life because God cares about your dating life. God wants to be involved in your dating life, and he wants to be involved in the process of who we're dating, who we're spending time with, and he wants to be involved in every area of our life, okay? So the first clear way, and I believe the most reliable way that God speaks to us when we are dating, and I'm saying reliable because sometimes, listen, our imagination, our mind, again, can play with us when we are dating. We could think like, oh my gosh, God is telling me that this is my husband, and it's like, is he really telling you that, or is that your imagination kind of just wanting that, or your heart wanting that, right? So I have learned to, 1, rely on wisdom. The number one thing that I seek now when I am dating is wisdom. What is wisdom telling me about this man? What is wisdom telling me about this situation? And this is one that I kind of had to learn the hard way. You guys know, if you've been listening, that a lot of my experience and a lot of my advice comes from things that I've learned the hard way, unfortunately. But I have a cousin that she learns from other people's mistakes, and I'm like, that is just incredible. If you can learn from other people's mistakes, like, props to you. I give you so much credit, because I would love to be like that. I've just always been someone that has had to do it myself first, fall on my face, and then grow and be better as a person in the future. And I'm just actually coming around to now, like, I'm better at learning from other people's mistakes because I'm wiser. And that's what we're talking about, wisdom. So anyway, wisdom. So there was a guy that I dated a few years ago at this point, and we had a strong attraction up front, strong chemistry, that chemical reaction going off, that high, that you go through that like euphoric high or whatever of when you start falling for someone, the butterflies, all that. So that was happening. And then the other side of me, my wisdom alarm bells were just going off about this man. And now I look back now and I realize he kind of love bombed me. And that's like a whole nother episode, love bombing, because I didn't know what love bombing was back then. But I'm seeing it a lot on social media now, where love bombing is when someone kind of bombards you with like how much they love you, and they're giving you extravagant gifts, and they dive all in like right up front, and you don't even know them. And I look back now and I'm like, this guy totally love bombed me. He was just all that, like right up front, had no boundaries. And anyway, so we had that chemistry, we had that attraction, but the wisdom alarms were going off because he hung around shady people. That was, wisdom was clearly saying, okay, why are his friends like shady? don't like these people. I don't feel good when I'm around these people. That was a wisdom alarm going off. There was some things that like his family and friends would say about him that I was like, okay, wisdom is telling me that this is odd, that I'm getting advice to kind of not be around this man. And then there was just other things that I just didn't feel safe around him. Like I felt like there was some things going on that just weren't good. And come to find out, he had, addiction problems, and he was trying his best to be sober. But listen, addiction is it's something that needs to be handled with healthcare professionals. It needs to be between God and healthcare professionals. And it's something that, quite frankly, like we can't help someone with. So there was a lot of sneakiness, a lot of shadiness going on, and my wisdom alarms were just going off. And I remember talking to one of my friends at the time and kind of telling her about the relationship. And I just remember the look on her face was fear, like fear for me hanging out with this guy. And that was another point of clarity. Like wisdom tells me that I should not be around this man. Okay. So that lasted a couple months. And then I finally was like, okay, wisdom is telling me I shouldn't be around him. Like even as a friend, I shouldn't be around him. And I learned a lesson there. It's like wisdom, it's just a clear way that God speaks to us. Like it's cut and dry, it's black and white. And it takes our emotions out of the situation, and it says, okay, what does wisdom say about this situation? Is this situation safe for me? Is this situation good for me? If I had a child, or if you do have a child, would I want my child dating this person? Would I want my child around this person? Would I even want to be friends with this person? So wisdom kind of gives us a logical approach, and God speaks to us through wisdom. I mean, there's so many scriptures on wisdom. The entire book of Proverbs is all about wisdom, and I'll just read a couple scriptures. Proverbs 16, verse 16, how much better is it to get wisdom than gold? And Proverbs 1:7, it says, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. And I mean, there's so many more scriptures on wisdom. Like I said, the entire book of Proverbs is about wisdom. And I think quite a few of you may know the story about Solomon, how he prayed for wisdom and God gave him wisdom, and he's known as one of the wisest, people in the Bible. And so if you feel like you're lacking wisdom, pray for wisdom, that God will give you wisdom. And that is a clear way that we can be guided by him. And another situation I can think of is, if you're crushing on someone else and you are making it clear that you're interested, and this has happened to me recently, actually. There was someone that I was crushing on. This is a little vulnerable, and he was just in my vicinity. I actually never really even met him. I wanted to, but I was making it clear that I was interested in him, and he just wasn't pursuing me. Like it was clear that he wasn't pursuing me back. And so in that situation, wisdom is telling me, listen, he's not pursuing you. And I am going out of my way to make it clear I'm interested, that I want you to pursue me, and he's still not pursuing me. In that situation, wisdom tells me that this isn't something that I should continue with, because I think he should be pursuing me. And I wouldn't use that example if I wasn't, putting myself out there, right? Like if you aren't making it clear you're interested in someone, they might just not know. They might be interested in you, but they just might not know. But in this situation, this man knows how to reach me. Like we know people in the same circles. And if he was interested in me, he could easily contact me, easily get in touch with me, easily be introduced to me. And he hasn't. So wisdom is telling me that this isn't right. And maybe it's just timing. Maybe in the future we'll date or something, or maybe in the future, maybe he's not ready or something like that. So I'm not taking it as like there's something wrong with me or whatever, but I'm listening to the Lord on this one. And it's like wisdom is saying that this man isn't pursuing me. So I am not going to move forward with like thinking this will happen. I'm just gonna, surrender that to God and be out here in the dating scene and open to other things. The second way that God speaks to us clearly when we're dating is the reactions of people we love. When we tell them about the situations that we are in or the dating situations that we are in, okay? The reactions, I would say, of the people that we trust and love, okay? So, because there's some people that we love that we don't really trust their opinions and we don't need to be taking their opinions. So I'm talking about the people that you actually really trust, that really know you, that really want the best for you. And I mean, even what I was talking about earlier when I was telling my friend about that bad situation that I was in, the look on her face, someone I trust, someone that I know she cares about me, her reaction when I was talking to her about that, it was fear. It was fear for me. And, that took me back. And I truly believe that God speaks to us through other people, through their reactions. And there was another situation where I think I talked about this on the show before, but amazing man of God that I was friends with, and we started dating for a little bit, and he was just a great man, like all around businessman, man of God, just a really good person. There was clear fruit in his life. And there was something off though, like on paper, he was perfect, right? On paper, we would be great together, right? But there was something off about it, and I was trying to force it, and when I would talk to my close people about it, they were kind of picking up on that I was trying to force it. And I remember I was talking to my aunt about him, and she was asking me like how things are going and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh yeah, it's going good. And I was like, I don't know where it's going, but she's like, do you feel like you're trying to force it? Because I think she could pick up on my energy that, listen, if you are dating with the intention for marriage and you are not excited about this person, that person is probably not the person for you, okay? So when my friends and family were asking me about this person, I was not excited to talk about it. I actually was kind of hesitant to talk about it because I just wasn't excited. I didn't feel that like spark in my soul about it. And so when my aunt said to me, do you feel like you're trying to force it? It set something off inside of me, because right away I said, no, like I really like him and blah, blah, blah. But I went home that night, and before I went to bed, I was just thinking about it, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm definitely trying to force it with this guy. I'm definitely trying to force it. And so again, that was just a clear way that God was speaking to me through someone else, because I, in my mind, was like, no, I have to try, like he's such a good guy and blah, blah, blah. But what God taught me is he's not going to force me to be with someone. He's not going to force any of us to be with someone. The person that is for you, it will feel natural. It will feel right. You will be attracted to him. And so that's what God showed me in this situation. Like, no, I'm not going to force you to be with someone. It shouldn't feel forced. It should feel natural. You should feel peace about it. And again, it was someone else that kind of confirmed that for me and kind of woke me up from the situation. Like, okay, girl, you are trying to force it here. Okay, so God will speak to you clearly through the reactions of people that you love and trust. So pay attention to what your friends are saying, what your family is saying, and they'll validate, or they will give you hints of, okay, maybe this isn't right, or maybe this is right. Like, so pay attention to what they're saying and how they're reacting to the things that you are telling them. And then the third clear way that God speaks to us when we are dating is our intuition, that gut feeling inside of us. That's the Holy Spirit speaking to you, okay? And if something feels off, then we need to understand why it feels off, okay? If you listen back to what was it? Episode 11 and 12, I had Andrew and Emily Colby on the show, which they're a married couple, and Andrew didn't get married until he was, I think, 37, and Emily, she had gone through a divorce at like 29 years old, and then they met and they became friends, and they ended up getting married, and it's just a really cool story if you go back and listen to their episodes, episode 11 and 12. But they had like a supernatural peace about it when they met. Like they just knew that they were supposed to be together. They knew that God brought them together, and it was just peaceful. And I've talked to countless people about that. And I'm not saying everyone has the same story, because there's many people too that I've heard that are friends first, or maybe one person knew sooner than the other. So there's different situations and everyone's story is different, but you should have peace about dating this person seriously, okay? And again, going back to the last guy that I was talking to you about, like there was on paper, things looked great. On paper, he was a wonderful guy, but both of us felt like something was off. Both of us felt in our gut, in our intuition, in our whatever we want to call it, we felt like something was off. Like the peace, wasn't a supernatural peace there about it. So we had to listen to that, and that is a clear way that God speaks to us. And I've said this before. Move in the direction that brings peace to your soul, especially when you think about it long term. An interesting kind of story about this is recently there has been a guy that has been in my close vicinity, I guess, or proximity. Is proximity the word? I think proximity is the word. But he is a great guy. He's cute, and he would be a wonderful spouse to the woman that God has for him. Like, I know he's a great guy, and I have prayed. I have asked God, like, Lord, am I supposed to show interest in this man? Like, should I date this man? Like, what are we supposed to be friends? Are we supposed to be more than friends? Like, what's going on here? And again, he would be a wonderful boyfriend, wonderful husband, and wonderful just friend, person to be around. And that's why I know, like, okay, he is a good prospect. He is a good option here, okay? So I prayed and I said, Lord, like, am I supposed to date him? Like, what's going on with this? And I just feel in my gut, in my, like, knowing that I don't have a peace about it. And maybe it's the timing. Maybe we date in the future. I don't know. But right now, there's something off in my spirit that is telling me no. So that is causing me to not, show interest in him, or not kind of like pursue in a way. And again, I'm not saying like women should be pursuing men, but we do need to make it clear if we're interested in them, because I think a lot of men will pursue us if they know that we're interested in them. So anyway, because I don't have that peace, I am not showing interest in him in that way. And it sucks, because sometimes I'm just like, oh, I want to date, and he'd be such a good guy. Like, why do I not feel peace about it? But I have learned that I need to trust that. And again, maybe it's God's timing, but, or, maybe it's just not the time, or maybe he's just not the one. Like, maybe we're just not supposed to be together. There are so many great people out there, and it does not mean that they're supposed to be together. That's what I'm learning. Like there's so much that we don't understand, and the person that God has for you, the person that God has for me, there will be peace about it. And I don't want to like ruin a friendship, if I don't have peace about that. So anyway, so I have not shown interest in this man, and I am taking my own advice, and maybe one day I'll feel peace about it, and maybe I won't. But anyway, so yes, 3 clear ways that God speaks to us when we're dating. Wisdom. Listen to the wisdom, guys. We need to listen to what is wisdom saying about this situation. Second thing is the reaction of people that we love and trust. Pay attention to their reactions. Pay attention to what they're saying about the situation, what they're saying about him or her. If you're a man listening, like, pay attention to what they're saying, And the third thing is that gut feeling inside. Do you have peace about it or do you not? Move in the direction that brings peace to your soul, because peace is a clear way that God speaks to us. Okay, guys? And we're just going to end with a scripture. And it's John 10:27. It says, "My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me." So listen, if you have a personal relationship with Jesus, if you are building intimacy with him, if you are seeking him, if you are building relationship with him, trust that you hear his voice. So often, I think the number one reason why people feel like they don't hear his voice is because they simply feel like they can't hear his voice. But this scripture is proof that he says, "My sheep hear my voice." So be confident that that is God speaking to you. He is speaking to you through wisdom, through peace, through other people. And these ways that God speaks to us, this applies to all areas of our life. Honestly, we're talking about dating right now, but maybe this is an opportunity for you to just start seeking different ways that God is speaking to you. Start leaning into his voice, because just like anything in life, it takes practice. It takes practice to build the muscle of hearing from God. Okay, so that's my challenge for you today. That's the takeaway here is look for ways that God is speaking to you, whether it's in dating, whether it's in where God is leading you right now, maybe who he's leading you to serve, maybe things he's leading you to do, maybe conversations he wants you to have, whatever it is, lean into his voice. What is God speaking to you right now? What does God want you to understand? What does God want you to know? Where does he want you to go? Start leaning into his voice, because that is just, it's a life changer, guys. When we are walking in alignment with the Lord and what he is saying to us and what he wants us to do, it is life changing, and it's awesome. It really is awesome. So I'm excited for you to lean into his voice. And before we go, if you are new here, you don't know that I really believe in the power of our words. I believe in affirmations and how they change our life. So at the end of every episode, I like to repeat affirmations, or I like to have you repeat the affirmations that I say. So if you could place your hand over your heart and repeat after me, and you can close your eyes if you are not driving. I am not alone. I am loved and cherished by the Father, and I am exactly where I'm supposed to be. Oh, gosh, I love our affirmations, guys. They just always make me feel good. I don't know about you, but I just always feel great after saying those out loud. And all right, guys. Well, I love you. I hope you enjoyed the episode. And if you have any testimonies of hearing from God while dating or any of these situations that we talked about today, please DM me. My DMs are open on Instagram. Message me. I want to hear from you. I want to hear your thoughts. I want to hear what God is showing you. So do not hesitate to reach out. All right, guys. I will see you next time. Bye.